Welcome to the AI for Career Success video overview by Curt Robbins, where we help you get smarter than your competition. On February 2nd, 2026, the tech landscape saw a major consolidation. The official merger of SpaceX and xAI wasn't just another business deal, it really signaled a much grander vision. The goal, as this quote from Vince Curry on LinkedIn lays out, is to create a single, deeply integrated platform weaving together artificial intelligence, rockets, satellite internet, and even the X social media network. So let's start with our first section, a new tech titan. The announcement on February 2nd didn't just form another large company. You could argue it created an entirely new category of company, a powerhouse that fuses aerospace leadership with the very frontier of AI. And you have to understand, this isn't a typical tech merger. As Reuters pointed out, it's the fusion of a space and defense contractor with an AI developer. It's a very unique combination that has created what is now the world's most valuable private company, with capabilities that stretch all the way from physical rockets to pure digital intelligence. Okay, so that's the what. But the really big question is the why. Why would you merge a rocket company with an AI lab? Well, the answer seems to lie in a pretty radical vision for the future of computing, one that isn't necessarily bound to the surface of the Earth. At the heart of this strategy is a concept that analyst Daniel M. has termed infrastructure convergence. Now, this isn't just about using AI to make space operations more efficient. It's about building an AI platform where the servers themselves, the fundamental hardware, are physically in orbit. It's a complete fusion of software intelligence and space-based infrastructure. And when you look at the potential advantages, as outlined here by Tina Dungy, the logic starts to become pretty clear. By moving data centers into space, the new entity could access unlimited, round-the-clock solar power, completely free from weather or grid failures. It would also eliminate the enormous land and water footprint of terrestrial data centers. And perhaps most critically, it would provide ultimate control over the entire infrastructure stack, from the power source all the way to the processing. So, what this really boils down to is a strategic pivot. Instead of fighting in the incredibly costly terrestrial arms race for computing power against giants like Google, Meta, and OpenAI, the plan appears to be to create an entirely new competitive arena in orbit, where the old rules of the game may no longer apply. Now, a vision this grand, well, it naturally comes with some pretty astronomical financial figures. But when you start to dig into the numbers, you find significant disagreement and a great deal of speculation about what the real values actually are. Just take a look at this table. It really highlights the enormous variance in the valuation estimates that are floating around. For SpaceX alone, you see figures ranging from around $200 billion all the way up to $800 billion. For xAI, there's a nearly $180 billion gap between estimates. This kind of disparity just goes to show how speculative the financial analysis is for these private companies. But even with all that conflicting data, the high-end projections are simply staggering. A Bloomberg report, which was cited by Vince Curry, places the potential value of this newly merged company at $1.25 trillion. That signals an ambition to create one of the most valuable corporations in history. All right, so we've talked about the grand vision, but not everyone is buying it. In fact, there's a very prominent counter-narrative that views this entire merger not through a technical lens, but through a purely financial one. And that counter-narrative really hinges on this one critical question. What if the primary motivation here isn't technological advancement at all? In a pretty sharp analysis from February 2nd, 2026, Daniel Altman articulates this view bluntly. He calls the move an ongoing shell game. His argument is that this is a maneuver designed to obscure the true financial health and valuation of the individual companies by shuffling assets between private entities. So this sets up two starkly different interpretations of the same event. On one hand, you have the stated vision, a strategic convergence to build the future of AI. On the other, you have the skeptical view that this is a financial maneuver meant to obscure asset values and consolidate control. Now, according to Altman's theory, the steps are sequential. First, he alleges that xAI was used to help investors in a struggling X. Next, in the present, xAI is absorbed into the valuable and profitable SpaceX, which shields its finances. And the predicted endgame? That the publicly traded Tesla acquires the entire private conglomerate, essentially converting its high stock price into the hard assets of SpaceX. Okay, so where does that leave us? How do we reconcile this grand technological vision with some very deep financial skepticism? Well, the most pragmatic view might be that both of these narratives contain an element of truth. And this is the crucial point to understand. These two realities are not mutually exclusive. It's entirely possible that the merger is a genuinely bold strategy to dominate the future of computing, and, at the same time, a complex financial maneuver to maximize valuation and maintain control. One doesn't necessarily cancel out the other.
So, for those of us analyzing this, what are the key factors to watch moving forward? First, we'll need to see tangible revenue growth from platforms like Starlink and any early AI products. The ultimate test, of course, will be real-world commercial adoption of orbital computing. And naturally, broader market conditions will dictate the timing and feasibility of any potential IPO.
Ultimately, this all leaves us with the central question. Are we witnessing the blueprint for the next paradigm of computing, or is this simply the most audacious financial gamble in corporate history? The answer will almost certainly unfold over the coming decade.
Thank you for watching. This is where we teach you AI and help you get smarter than your competition. To continue learning with us, please subscribe to the AI for Career Success YouTube channel. Like, comment, and share this overview to help us reach a wider audience.